Hi, I'm Jasmine Nicole. Welcome to The Motivational Mystic, a space for authentic, higher conscious conversations to motivate, inspire, and empower. Thanks for listening. Each week, I'll drop a new conscious raising episode. Let's dive in. For today's episode, I want to talk about something that I've experienced recently that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. I've come to the realization and acceptance that it's okay to outgrow people. Outgrowing people is a sign that you're evolving. You're growing as a person. Especially when you're intentionally choosing to grow and you get to a point where you want to make positive changes in your life or achieve goals you set for yourself as you're developing a more evolved perspective of who you are and your life. Honestly, I think we all experience periods of outgrowing people throughout the course of our lives, whether it's due to circumstance or through taking the time to be introspective. When you're being introspective, it's one of the few times we are honest with ourselves in pure, raw thought. No audience, no one to hide from or impress, just you, your thoughts, your feelings, and opinions about yourself. When you're being introspective, that is the best time to take inventory of the people in your life that are positive influences, and to be honest, to take inventory of the people in your life who may be negative influences or simply stagnant. You want to be aware of the type of energy people bring into your life. Sometimes you simply outgrow people due to life circumstances. For example, the friends you had in elementary school may not be the same group of friends you had in middle school or high school. The friends you had in high school may not be the same friends you had if you attended college. Even with the friends you made in college, if the nature of your friendships revolves around going out on weekends or alcohol culture, by the time you get into your late 20s or older, you may realize you don't connect with certain friends like you once did. Your values change. Life responsibilities, such as marriage or kids, become more of a priority, and some of those friendships just naturally drift away. So I've come to see outgrowing people, and even certain environments, as a sign that you are evolving. Just because you are taking positive action in your life to grow and evolve as a person, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is going to be happy for you. And you have to be okay with that. You may come across people that see you're growing and evolving as a person, and it's almost like they take personal offense to it and call you out on it, like it's a bad thing. They may even say things to try to discourage you, like, oh, you've changed, you're not like you used to be, you're not keeping it real. I certainly don't think you should react or feel the need to defend or explain yourself. However, when I found myself in this scenario, this is how I responded. The keyword being respond. Not react or explain, but respond. I responded by saying, yes, that's right. I have changed. I've evolved as a person. Thank you for noticing. I walk away and I leave it at that. Short and sweet, honey. Short and sweet. Because people who try to depict your personal growth as something negative are way too consumed with focusing on the external and what other people are doing, rather than taking a hard, honest look at themselves and focusing on what changes they can make to better their own lives. I don't believe we're meant to stay the same throughout the course of our lives. We're meant to evolve with life. If you happen to come across people who behave as if you evolving as a person is a negative thing, don't take it personally. People who act like that are just projecting their dissatisfaction with themselves and with their own life onto you. It's misplaced anger. They're really just mad at themselves. And because they're mad at themselves, they can become triggered by your personal growth and evolution. Your growth is mirroring back to them that they're stagnant. They recognize that you've elevated and advanced yourself from where you once were, which may have been at the same level as them at one point. And now, you're no longer there. You have surpassed them, and instead of feeling inspired by your growth and success, they feel intimidated or uncomfortable with it and start projecting that discomfort within themselves onto you. But hey, let me tell you something. That is not your problem to fix. I'm going to repeat that again for the empaths out there listening to this episode. It is not your problem to fix. You're just working on being the best version of yourself. It's hard for people to be honest with themselves when presented with uncomfortable truths and realizations. It's unfortunate because when you're in a season of growth, oftentimes the people that behave negatively towards you are people you may have known for a long time. Friends, family members, significant others, which makes it a hard pill to swallow. However, when you want more for yourself, you have to take inventory of who in your life is aligned with the version of yourself you're working on becoming. Who is supportive, encouraging, or just has a positive attitude and outlook on life. This is where I feel being introspective and doing those internal check-ins with yourself is important, and to really take inventory of the people in your life. You want to limit the amount of access stagnant and flat out negative people have to you when you're working on bettering yourself and evolving as a person. You don't need any unnecessary distractions getting in your way, so be selective of the people you allow to have access to you. I know when I was in a season of growth and outgrowing many of my peers that I had known for years, I was really struggling with it. I knew I didn't connect with some of these people like I once did, and I would always feel drained after hanging out with them, or I would experience this overwhelming sense of heaviness while I was in their presence, almost like an anchor weighing me down. Eventually, I came to the realization that I was hanging on to friendships that were way past their expiration date because these people had no desire to grow and evolve. Luckily, I had an uncle who gave me great advice at that point in my life, and it always stuck with me. He said, "Jasmine, you may encounter people in your life as you're evolving as a person that don't feel or even perceive the need to grow and elevate themselves. They're essentially stuck in a perpetual time warp of stagnancy. The growth they see in you is a threat to the complacency bubble they built for themselves to remain stagnant. However, it's not up to you to get them out of their complacency bubble, and you certainly, by no means, want to get sucked into it." That advice always stuck with me because you can't force other people to want more for themselves or to be bigger picture thinkers. You can only focus on yourself. Eventually, these people will start to naturally drop out of your life because you're no longer on the same wavelength as each other. And that's a good thing. Keep working on yourself, growing, and evolving. So, outgrowing people isn't something that should be perceived as a bad thing. You're making space in your life to attract people who are more aligned with who you are at this point in your life and who will grow with you as you embrace your individuality and evolution. We have to be realistic and comfortable with the fact that you're not going to take everyone with you as you advance in life. Not everyone can go along for the ride as you look to step into your next chapter. Everyone is looking to level up in life, right? It's just some people are more willing to do the work, dedicate the time, and put forth the effort to do it. What actually comes to mind is an old quote I used to hear a lot as a child, but it's certainly relevant to today's conversation. The quote is, "It's lonely at the top, but too crowded at the bottom." Which is a parallel to what I was just discussing, where if you want to elevate yourself and level up in life, you cannot bring everyone with you. You simply can't. And that can also be a hard realization to come to as you look around and see that some of the people you started with, whether it's people you grew up with, associates, or sometimes even certain family members, are not worth the sacrifice. And by sacrifice, I mean the sacrifice to your evolution, maturity, well-being, and growth. You are not just going through the motions of life. You are growing with life and not letting it pass you by. So, as sad as it may be to outgrow people, it's natural and at times, necessary. Like I mentioned before, sometimes you start to grow apart from people so you can make space for new people that are more aligned with where you are at this point in your life to come in. Allow outdated relationships to run their course. So, if there is anything you take away from today's episode, please let it be this. In life, if people can't grow with you, they can't go with you to your next level. And we all want to level up in life, but it takes effort. So in short, if people can't grow with you, they can't go with you. If they can't grow, they can't go. That has a nice ring to it, actually. If they can't grow, they can't go. If they can't grow, they can't go. That's all I have for today, everyone. I hope you found today's episode helpful. Until next time, goodbye.